you touched on the Funkadelics. Let me ask you, what was it like collaborating with George Clinton, such a legend? You know, did you guys know that he just he got a street named after him on Plainfield Avenue?
Oh yeah.
It was crazy.
Funkadelic way.
I mean, it was a great moment for us because, like you had mentioned in the beginning of our relationship, you know, that was like the common denominator between like what he liked to listen to and what I like to listen to. You feel me?
Sure.
So it was like I brought the soul to the table, he brought the rock to the table, and we did what we did with that. But Funkadelic was something in the middle that was like, yo, I listen to that too, and I really like that. So it was always, George Clinton was always like a heavy influence, directly and indirectly, because a lot of the stuff that he sampled and Dre used was an influence to the sound that we have now. But yeah, George Clinton was always a huge influence. So what is it, like 6-7 years later from when we like first met, like it was like a crazy moment to even have him like acknowledge what we was doing, but then like his team reach out and say that we want to do something together was insane. You know, it was like one of those like cool. We spent a lot of time like just developing a sound, years and years and years of different like labels and management companies and anything you can imagine telling us no, like you guys are not good enough, you guys don't have this, you don't have that. But it came to a point for us where we just like put out what we wanted to put out, and like, you know, at this point millions of people around the country like will listen to it. I mean, and around the world really. So it was crazy because it was wild. The story was, you could tell them the story. The shit was wild, like how it happened and stuff. But
yeah, oh man. Okay, so honestly, kind of like a law of attraction moment. But we were in LA for like a business trip. What were we doing on that trip?
I don't remember. I think we might have did Black Market Food that day. We was doing a show or some shit like that.
Yeah, it was that weekend. Yeah. But you know, we had been talking about how we just would love to have, you know, like George Clinton on a track just because, you know, he's such an icon. And
we sent it to the label. I hit the label and I was like, yo, I really want to get George Clinton, because Kendrick had did on his opening track on To Pimp a Butterfly, he had George Clinton on it, and Kendrick was a huge influence. So
for sure,
I hit the label up and I was like, yo, I really want to get George Clinton on the track, and everybody at the label was like, come on, man, that's, you know, he doesn't even record music anymore. Label's great, by the way. I'm just like, you know, it was one of those situations where it was like generally like highly unlikely for that to happen, but like, yeah.
But yeah, so like at the end of this trip, we had a session that fell through, and we were trying to decide if like we should just like go back to Austin like a day early or just stay one more day and see if like, you know, just something crazy happens. So on that last day, like we had to go to Melrose, just like get some like last minute shopping in, and that morning at the hotel, Juan pulled up on Instagram seeing that the Red Hot Chili Peppers were like getting their star on the Walk of Fame.
Oh, that's fire.
And George Clinton was there, and he was just like, dude, what if we just fucking pulled up on George and just like let him know who we were? And we were just like,
It was a joke, for real.
It was a joke.
I was like, yo, let's go get that feature from George Clinton. Like legit, I was like, yo, and we laughed, and then I exited out Instagram and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so we go to Melrose, and we're just talking, and like I'm just looking around, and I'm like, man, just like LA is like the one place where you can just, you know, walk anywhere, and you just never know who's, you know,
that's for sure,
a star or like, you know, up and coming and stuff. And like I just remember it, like pointing at one person, like I was just like just look at that guy. He's wearing like this silver suit, like fly hat and everything.
Can't miss him.
Can't miss him. It was like, you know, you can't wear stuff like that in Austin. Yeah. And it's insane that Juan was just like, yo, I think that's George Clinton. And what, you kind of like sped up to kind of
walked past him and shit, and like side profiling his face, and I'm looking and I'm like, yo, that's George Clinton right there. It was wild. So, you know, and this is like one of those moments where I was like, you know, because our shit was doing good, like, you know, we could have.
Oh, for sure.
But I think it's really important to stay humble and like
For sure.
very, very much practice like humility, like, cause like I always remember J. Cole's story about him like standing out of Ho's studio for like 2 hours, you know what I'm saying, just standing out there waiting to just get that one interaction, and you know how that changed his career. So I always think about moments like that because like a lot of artists are too into themselves, they're too into like their brand, and they read too much into their own press and cut themselves short of a lot of opportunities if they would just practice a little bit of humility and like humbleness and just like, so I was like, you know, I'm finna wait outside this store. When he come out, like I don't give a fuck how I look, like I'm gonna wait outside this store. And when he comes out, I'm gonna introduce myself, tell him I'm from the same city, you know, tell him, cause I know a lot of people in the Funkadelic camp, but George is not like somebody you could just like email or some shit, like that's impossible. So he came out and I just walked up to him and I was like, yo, I'm a huge fan. I've been listening to you since I was literally like able to walk type shit. And we started a group that's doing really well, and your music was like a huge influence on us.
Huge.
And he was like, and then just kept walking his shit, right? But I did tell him the group name and stuff like that. And I think maybe like, 2 weeks later, I get a DM on Instagram from his daughter.
Okay.
And who had followed us before, and she was like, yo, heard you met George. You know, one of our tracks, Funkentology, which uses reference from, there's one reference from One Nation Under a Groove in there, but there's also a reference from, what the fuck is the name of the song? You Scared Me Baby or something like that. This is a Funkadelic track. So there's a bunch of Funkadelic references in there, and it just sounds like something that would have come from that. So I think that circled around to him, and he heard it, and he was like, yo, these kids are doing something cool. So his daughter reached out and said they were down to do a track. And we had one ready, you know what I'm saying? Because we had Benny the Butcher on the second verse. And I wanted to get George to just do ad-libs on it and kind of talk on it like how he used to do on his old records. So I think in a matter of like, I think he you know, his daughter sent a DM. She told me to call her and FaceTime her so I could talk to him. And we got on FaceTime. He said, all right, I'm gonna go to the studio right now. And they went and recorded it. I got the stems that night, and yeah, that track came out. Wow. That's how that one happened.
Super crazy how it all just came together, you know.
P.A.U Studios, shooting everything. Movie status.